Alright, I didn't know if I was going to do this video, but then I had a lot of thoughts still, and I just want to do this video. What is this video, you might be asking, or maybe the thumbnail is clear enough. I'm doing my Hugo reactions video, mainly because I feel like I want to demystify the Hugos, and part of that has been becoming a member myself, so I still don't know a lot about the nominations process yet. So as we go through these stats and results, I have way more of an experience with voting than nominating, but I will be nominating this year because that's what you get to do as a supporting member. And yeah, I guess just a lot of people don't know how the Hugos work, and I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about how many people actually vote for it. And then I also just want to go through these stats and see, you know, what they reveal. You know, the good, the bad, the frustrating, you know, that whole thing. And I'm mainly going to focus on the categories that I care more about. There are a lot of categories. Some are not less important. That's not why I'm not talking about them, but I don't have interesting opinions or anything to say. So I wouldn't make a very good video if I did that. And if you want to see this, I will have it linked down below. It is public, so it's not like I was given this and it's a secret that I'm revealing to you guys. It's just not a form I think everyone looks at. And so if you don't want to know who won the Hugos, don't keep watching this video because it will be a spoiler. And I will have some graphics once in a while on the screen. So first, before I get into things, the Hugos are just a popularity contest where people who spend $50 get to vote. That's the supporting membership rate. You spend $50 and you get to nominate and vote for the Hugos. The money goes to funding Worldcon, which is the convention where the Hugo Awards are held. And that's basically it. You can pay more to be a virtual con member, or you can pay more to go to the convention, but all you have to do is pay $50, and you do get a packet of materials before voting. It's not everything that's been nominated, but it's a large amount of stuff. And it's not that many people who vote. At the end, we'll look at how many people nominated and vote through the years. So each individual has a lot of power, especially for an award that is generally considered pretty prestigious. If somebody hears that something won the Hugo in a sci-fi or fantasy field, they think, oh, that's an important book. I should read that. Like, we think that all the time about books that have come out and have gotten the Hugo Awards since the 1950s. So, but at the end of the day, what it's measuring is whoever the 1,000 to 2,000 people who happen to be supporting members at the time, it's what they think. It is what these group of people, including myself, think. It's that group thinks specifically. So these are people who care a lot about the genre, enough to at least pay for a supporting membership, but they are also privileged enough to be able to pay for a supporting membership. So keep that in mind with that. And now we'll go into the best novel. And they do a ranked voting system. So when you vote, you have your first preference to the sixth, or you can only vote for maybe one or two things. You could say no award should be given. Those are the type of things. So in the first graph I'll show you is everyone's first preference. So you can see that for everyone's ranked first preference, the order is A Desolation Called Peace, Light from Uncommon Stars, Project Hail Mary, A Master of Djinn, The Galaxy and the Ground Within, and She Who Became the Sun. Now, what's interesting is that, so this is in the first column, the number of people who voted for these books first. And it's actually quite close for the top three, but when you take the votes for everyone who voted for A Desolation Called Peace and you see what their references are to figure out who is actually second, third, or fourth, or fifth place based off rank voting, second place is Light from Uncommon Stars, and so close to winning first place. Like, look at this. 870 votes versus 742 votes. So close. But Light from Uncommon Stars was second place. A Master of Djinn was third. Galaxy and the Ground Within was fourth. She Who Became the Sun was fifth. And Project Hail Mary was sixth. And She Who Became the Sun and Project Hail Mary were neck and neck for fifth place. But I think that's just very interesting that you could be like third place in first rank preference, but not necessarily third place overall because of how ranked voting works when you do split up the votes from people who voted for A Desolation Called Peace first. And another thing that I thought was really interesting is if you look at the nominations, this is the long list, which makes me sad because a lot of the books that I would have wanted on the long list are not there, such as The Unbroken or Sorrowland. The Echo Wife is on there and The Jasmine Throne's on there, and truly that's the only thing giving me hope right now because I just reread The Jasmine Throne, and yeah, it should have been. The Jasmine Throne is very, very good. Now, what I do think I want to highlight, because this is the power of the Hugos, it's like the one positive thing and the one thing that makes me want to have the membership and wants me to make me nominate things is, if you notice, Light from Uncommon Stars almost did not make the shortlist, and it's second place overall. And that's amazing, and it's gotten so much more recognition. It's found its readership, because it's a very hard book to market. So you make the shortlist, you don't even have to win, you suddenly get to sell way more copies of your book. So you can potentially have a lot of marginalized authors or lesser known authors get a wider audience because of the Hugos, because of its perceived prestige. And so that's something that I do like, that Light from Uncommon Stars barely makes it, but, you know, it does make second place overall. And something also that we're going to see as a trend, though, is you see these are the numbers of nominations. A Desolation Called Peace won. It also inherently had the most nominations initially. So it takes a lot to bring down the first one. And for novellas, something that people might not know is that the number one nominated was a Murderbot novella, and she declined the nomination because she wanted to have a chance for other works to be nominated and get the limelight. And you know what? Class act. There is an author later on who I wish would have done something like that. We'll get there. But similarly, though, A Psalm for the Wild Build has a bunch of nominations. Like, it's significantly above the next one, and it hands down wins. This is not surprising. This has been a beloved novella, and I don't mind it winning. I know it wasn't one of my top ones, if you remember my novella ranking video, but it's unique. For what it's doing, there's not many novellas doing this. I'm good with it. Elder Race is a solid second place. I still wish The Past Was Red was second or first place, but it's fine. And also, you know, a case where it didn't get that many nominations, so more people would get to read it. But the one thing that, like, I aligned with and a lot of people aligned with is that Fireheart Tiger was just, like, not everyone's favorite novella. So nothing truly interesting here. Just, you know, very predictable. I mean, if Fugitive Telemetry was there, I don't know if it or Becky Chambers would have won. It did get more nominations than A Psalm for the Wild Built when it was nominated. We're going to skip Novelette because I haven't read any of those, and I'm going to briefly say about short stories that my favorite one, because I don't have any other thoughts other than that, but the one by Sarah Pinsker, it's creepy, it's fun, I had a great time. There is a podcast for it where someone reads it, so if you just want to listen to it, that does exist. I don't know how that would work because of the format of the short story, but it exists. But now we will get into Best Series, which is very disappointing for me. Again. But the winner is the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire. The second place is The World of the White Rat. I believe that's by T. Kingfisher. Third place is The Greenbone Saga. Fourth place is Terra Ignota. Fifth place is The Kingston Cycle. And sixth place was Merchant Princes. I don't know any of those bottom three ones. But The Greenbone Saga actually had the second most nominations. And The World of the White Rat almost didn't make this list. So, I mean, granted, I want to read all the T. Kingfisher. So, like, it was already on my radar that I wanted to read this series. But the fact that it had very little, like, nominations for it. And I don't know if just, like, the people were like, oh, I do know that author, or, yeah, I do know that series. And when they were voting, decided to do that. Because about half as many people nominate as do vote, approximately. So, I don't know. I'm not surprised the Wayward Children series won. It has the name recognition. More people have read it than Greenbone Saga, but I really wanted Greenbone Saga to win, and Wayward Children will have more opportunities. Well, I don't know if it can anymore, but it would have had more opportunities to be nominated, because it's still ongoing, and Greenbone does not. So it made me sad. Next up is, we'll just briefly talk about Best Graphic Story. This is truly where you can see that just popularity can play when you're in these smaller categories. Like, very few people vote. Like, what was it? Like, 894 people voted for this, and pretty much the order in which things were nominated, they were voted for in first through sixth place. But I'm just happy Far Sector won. That's all I have to say there. It's just like, Far Sector should have won. I mean, I haven't even read the other ones, but I loved it. So that's my bias there. We are not going to go through Best Related Work. Oh, Best Dramatic Presentation Long Form. The amount of negative surprise that I had that Dune won was extreme. It also, by far, had the most nominations. I was surprised that Encanto was second in the shortlist. I'm surprised The Green Knight did not perform better, but I guess, like, in my head, you know, the same people who are reading and voting for the Hugos aren't the same people going to see maybe indie movies, apparently. But I mean, I was not expecting WandaVision to get second place. That was odd. And Encanto getting third place makes me happy. So, it was just unsurprising, like, truly. And then we have short form. Oh, I guess something I will say was surprising me about long form. And again, people maybe who are in the Hugo voting pool, those 2,000 people, maybe they don't like League of Legends, maybe they don't watch animated shows, but I thought Arcane would have done a lot better, both in the short form and the long form presentation. Because in short form, again, are we surprised? The Expanse episode 1. Like, truly, no. Loki did pretty good. Star Trek Lower Decks. Arcane was like, yeah, he was like last place. So, it's whatever. I think the Arcane was infinitely better than Wheel of Time, but what do I know? But, nothing too interesting there. And I believe now we are getting into a bunch of stuff that I don't know a lot about. I probably will look through the packet more next year when I, become a member more than, 2 days before voting, which is what I did this year. But we're now going to get into the Lodestar Award for Best Young Adult Book. I'm going to go off first by saying young adult and its definition has always been a contested topic. There's this whole idea of what feels like a young adult book. And you can't escape it. I mean, it goes back to what did you read when you were a young adult? What is the trend of young adult fiction at the time? Because it has more of a trend to it consistently than I think adult forms do. But at the end of the day, it's just a targeting age demographic for marketing. That's what it is. That's how it was created. It's how they price books, at least in the United States. If you don't know this, young adult books are consistently the hardbacks are usually $10 cheaper. I think the paperbacks are like $5 to $7 cheaper. But they are significantly cheaper than adult books for no other reason that I can tell than that they're young adult and marketed to a younger audience. It's not clear if that's because they are truly teenagers have less money, will make the books cheaper or what. Some people say it's because they're shorter, and I'm like, I've seen some long young adult books, but okay. I don't know the reasoning for it, but they are cheaper. They are usually published in the United States by YA imprints, and normally the author writing the book is intending it for a young adult audience, and that's why they normally go through these routes in the United States. I recognize this would be different in different countries. So, for example, a book written in China was translated to English and was put in the young adult category, and I didn't know where it was supposed to go because I don't know how publishing of YA works in China. That would be different. Naomi Novik is an American author, published by Del Rey, an adult imprint. The Last Graduate at full price is $28 in hardback. Iron Widow, which almost won, this close, it was extremely close, is $18 in hardback. Okay? Iron Widow is published as a young adult. It is meant for a young adult audience. That was the intention of the work. The Last Graduate, it's not a young adult book, and Naomi Novik does not require, furthermore, name recognition. Naomi Novik is a very well-known fantasy author. She's doing just fine. The fact that she accepted the nomination and the award when she could have used her position of privilege and power to step aside so that a work by a non-binary Asian author could have won? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's just I've read Naomi Novik works and liked them. I mean, Uprooted was one of my favorite works for a really long time. But now I'm just I don't know. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. You can do what you want, but it was a choice. It was an active choice. And if she truly wanted that book to be for young adult audiences in the United States, she is famous enough that she could have sold that book to a different publisher. And yeah, maybe she had other books that she had to write for Del Rey. Well, then she should have had to wait or something. I don't know. But it was not published as young adult. And that is the only metric in which we can consistently define in the United States what is a young adult book. That's it. Because everyone has different definitions of what feels like a young adult book. What is too graphic? What is too sexy? What's the age range? No, there's so many definitions. And I'm just ugh. But that's my mini rant there. Especially just because you look at this and Iron Widow, it lost by 50 votes. 50, I'll put the exact number on the screen because I'm not doing math right now. But it's so few votes that it lost by. I didn't expect Chaos on Catnip to win, but I did expect it to be higher because, again, this is a popularity contest, and Hugo voters like Naomi Kritzer. That's another thing. You can tell the authors that Hugo voters like. It's also kind of sad when you look at the nominations that after the first 6, there's an incredible drop-off in numbers. Like, people just don't know young adult books to nominate who are Hugo readers. Hugo readers don't read young adult, which is fine. But then, like, why are... I don't know. I just have issues with an adult book winning the young adult category. And I recognize that it might be marketed differently in other countries, and this is a global voting panel. And the one thing they don't give you in the stats sheet is the demographics and breakdowns of Hugo voters. Like, I don't know the countries or the ages or anything about who is voting for the Hugos. But primarily they are usually English readers, so it's probably primarily North American and UK readers who are voting for the Hugos. And I do know that in the UK, it is marketed as YA. But Naomi Novik is an American author, so I'm holding her by American marketing rules because presumably it was picked up by her American publisher first. And that's the rule I'm doing, and I'm just bitter. I just am. I haven't even read Iron Widow, and I'm bitter. So, yeah. The next one is not, like, super disappointing, although the author I voted for didn't win, but I do think the author who won, like, is deserving. So Shelley Parker Chan won, and barely beat, I think it was, like, 78 votes? Yes. Beat Micaiah Johnson by 78 votes, which, you know, that's a respectable margin. I just love Micaiah Johnson. I just feel like The Space Between Worlds was marketed wrong. Like, I think people expected an action-packed sci-fi thriller, and it's more of a slow burn character study with multi-dimensions. Like, I don't know. I'm so excited to read more by Micaiah Johnson, but I'm not mad that Shelley Parker Chan won. You know, She Who Became the Sun is a great work. So that's that one. And so now here are the stats I was talking about, where you can see people voting through the ages, which I think is nice to see. So you can really see, like, if you are someone with $50 disposable income, and it does come with free works to read, like, you know, you get free access to the short stories and the novelettes and things like that. But how much your vote might matter, especially your nomination. So basically, since 2010, we have only had 1 year. I don't know what was happening in 2016, but 2016, there were 4,000 nominations and only 3,000 votes. Like, I have no clue. But on average, it's usually only 1,000 to 2,000 people who nominate. And similarly, it's usually only 2,000 to 3,000 people who vote. It's not a lot of people in the grand scheme of things. Like, in the grand scheme of readers, like, some of these books on here have more ratings by a lot than what's happening. So I'm more interested in nominating this year. It should be good. I don't expect any of my nominations to, like really move the needle, but I'll feel better about complaining when things that I want to make it don't, because I will at least have tried. Well, I hope that was revealing. Thanks for indulging my little rant about the Lodestar Award. Let me know what you thought. Good, bad, the frustrating, the disappointments, the excitements. I am really happy a Desolation Called Peace won, but I wanted it to be Light from Uncommon Star. I am happy it did as well as it did, though. I didn't expect second place for it, so that was exciting. If you want to leave an emoji, leave a planet, I guess, or a rocket ship. The award is a rocket ship sort of thing, so we'll do a rocket ship. Let me know your thoughts. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.